want you to just share in the comments how you felt at the beginning of the journey. And I want you to speak outside of the plucked chicken look, because we know when we first get them installed, sometimes we can have that complex. We feel like, oh my gosh, plucked chicken look. You can see my scalp, my hair is short, I'm looking crazy. Can I get some extensions? What can I do? But outside of that, the fact that you embrace the style in and of itself, and you were going more back to your roots, how did that make you feel? How did people react to you? Did that change how you felt inside, and how does that compare to where you are today? So welcome to Tunisia's Locs, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by. Experience the I Am Melanin Magic difference by going to our website, www.IamMelaninMagic.com, and purchasing your products today. I am Melanin Magic, and so are you. Hello, and welcome to Tunisia's Locs, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri. Before we even dig in, I want to give some gratitude and show some love to all of you who showed up on the Self-Retightening Zoom this past Saturday. It was wonderful to get to know some of you and to talk with others. And also, I want to thank those ladies, locticians, and others who shared their particular experiences. Shout out to all of you. Okay, shout out to all of you. Tonight we are picking up again, as you know, on Wednesday nights, we are doing that hair thing by Dr. Joanne Cornwell, the creator and inspiration behind the Sisterlocks brand, and also the catalyst for what we see today transforming as more women take on natural styles, and also as we see more microlock models and prototypes popping up all over the place. This has been a really good read. There's some challenging things that she puts forth in this book for us to think about. It's very intellectually provocative. It also has an emotional provocation to it as well. I think it stimulates and elicits some deep emotional thought about where you fall when it comes down to embracing your true identity. So that's what we're going to get into tonight. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share, or comment. And again, thank you for coming out. I Am Melanin Magic's fragrance bombs are explosive. Get your charcoal. Make sure you heat it on a heat source long enough so that the charcoal turns gray on all four sides before you place any of the incense, bahor, or unsi on top of the charcoal. Take a small piece, if not the entire ball, take a small piece of your fragrance bomb. And as you break off that small piece, place it on the gray charcoal and enjoy the concentrated aromatics, fragrances, and natural ingredients. Our fragrance bombs are the bomb. Use in a ventilated area and use when you need fragrance all over your space. Feminize and romanticize. I am Melanin Magic, and so are you. Okay, so we've tackled quite a bit of different areas of this book so far, and we will be going in a sequential sequence insofar as that is what makes sense. So tonight we're going to be talking about, we're going into chapter, this actually does not have a chapter per se. I would say it's probably 3 or 4, but it's a collection. It's in between 3 and 4. You could say it's the end of 3. It's a collection of shares and a collection of women who are articulating what the feelings were when they decided they wanted to share their hairstyle, or when they went to work with their natural hair, their Sisterlocks. It gives you a chance to see how people reacted to them and how the woman herself actually felt. Looks like they're all women. So I wanted to talk about that and share some of what these women went through, or how they felt, or how they were processing this new identity, or I guess you could say, reclaiming their identity, how they were processing that internally. And so what I want to ask you to do before I even get into this is I want you to share how you felt when your locks were first installed. What was the reaction? How did you feel? What was the reaction? And did the reaction fortify you? Did it somehow impact you and make you feel insecure? And then as time went on, did the reaction change at all? And did your feeling about your natural hair care journey or your decision to embrace Microlocks, Sisterlocks, traditional locks, or whatever, how did that change at the time that you were embracing this journey? Now, when I decided to install my Sisterlocks, I was already an entrepreneur. And when I think back, that might have given me an extra layer of insulation, because when you work for yourself, you do whatever you want to do. You don't really care about what other people think. Oftentimes, when you work for other people, you should be able to do whatever you want to do, and you shouldn't have to care about what other people think. But I do feel the reality is that sometimes the societal pressures or the workplace pressures can weigh in on people a bit differently. When I think back now and I ask myself, how would I have felt if I was still in the school system? Because at that time, when I was working for myself, I was probably a few years removed from being a technology teacher in the Atlanta public school system. And at that time, you know, I was in a predominantly African-American inner city school. My principal was African-American. My vice principal was. So I probably still, it wouldn't have been a thing. But I have to think back and I have to sort of put myself in a situation. Well, what if I was in, you know, corporate America? How would I have felt? I like to think that I would have done what I wanted to do, but I'm not so sure about that. If I would have had to cave in to workplace pressures, or even in some situations, women are still fighting for the right, believe it or not, to wear their hair the way they want to, hence the Dove Act. But I do know today, the person that I am today, the person that this Sisterlocks journey has assisted in the metamorphosis of, or has shape-shifted me into, in terms of a reclamation and in terms of a return to myself, not only from a physical point of view, but from a spiritual place. I'm a different person now than I was then. My spiritual journey started before I took on the Sisterlocks, but it was intensified and it was really internalized during those years, and I've become someone else different. And this was a great catalyst for that. But then the changes themselves grew into other changes and grew into other changes. So most certainly the person that I am today, I wouldn't care where I went. If they didn't like it, if you don't like it, that's your problem. That's your business. I mind my business and you mind your business. But I'm not so sure when I go back and I speak to that person that I was 13, 14 years ago, if that person would have felt the same. And I'm inclined to say, if I did feel that way, it would have been because of my warrior energy, and someone would have provoked me and I would have stood in my power and I would have been stubborn and I would have gone all the way above and beyond to fight for whatever it is that I felt I needed to express. But within myself, I probably would have had a little bit of intrepidation, or I would have had trepidation. I would have had a little bit of maybe hesitation. That's kind of what I think. And I'm probably a little bit more closer to the pulse than not. So let's take a look at some of the commentary. And as I mentioned, I want you to just share in the comments how you felt at the beginning of the journey. And I want you to speak outside of the plucked chicken look, because we know when we first get them installed, sometimes we can have that complex. We feel like, oh my gosh, plucked chicken look. You can see my scalp, my hair is short, I'm looking crazy. Can I get some extensions? What can I do? But outside of that, the fact that you embrace the style in and of itself, and you were going more back to your roots, how did that make you feel? How did people react to you? Did that change how you felt inside? And how does that compare to where you are today? So we want to share Janitha. And the takeaway from her is she's talking about when she had her locks installed, she felt like a lot of Black women wanted to say something, but they didn't. And she said she also felt that her energy and the confidence with which she sported her locks kept people from maybe stepping to her and putting her down, or kept her from feeling perhaps put down, because, you know, and that's true, the energy in which you carry yourself and your stature, and whether or not you exude confidence, and whether or not you exude self-worth and courageousness, and that warrior energy can be the difference between somebody coming up to you and saying, well, sister, you know, why do you have your hair like that? You know, that's not really acceptable in corporate America, versus, wow, you look good. It's nice to see you in your naturalness. So I do agree with that. Then we have Elaine here, who says, people now in her company from the president down reacted very positively to her, and they nor she can imagine herself without them anymore. And she feels like it caused people to respect her even more, because she stood in her sense of inheritance, and she stood in her sense of cultural pride. And because of that, people respect her more. That's her perception. So I like that. And then we have Ann here, who's saying that many people assumed that they were dreads, and they asked her, or I'm going to say traditional locks, it's up to you. She said she was a little uncomfortable at first, but that wore off. I'm not sure if she was uncomfortable because people thought that they were dreads, and at the time she felt something was wrong with dreads, or if she was a little uncomfortable because people, yeah, I think it's because people assumed that they were actually dreads. But she had worn an afro for 15 years prior to getting the locks. So that kind of explains it. She'd had experience with being in her heritage and in her cultural pride and in her Blackness. So it wasn't that, but she began to feel a little uncomfortable when people thought that they were dreads. And that's a very interesting take. And you tell me how you feel about that, because I know one of the main reasons I chose Sisterlocks is because they were smaller, and I didn't want them to look like dreads. So when they started to dread up, or they started to do what they do, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't think I like these. But fast forward to today, I love traditional locks. I love so-called dreads. I love free-form locks, not as much as I love traditional locks, but I love them. So it got me to look deeper into myself and to have a greater degree of appreciation for the beauty of the diversity of what it is that we're capable of doing and expressing in the world as people of the African diaspora. So that's Elaine and Ann, okay? And then we have Elorse and Linda. And Linda says she really wasn't too concerned about other people's reactions. She said, you know, to each his own. In Arabic, we say, Musabidin wa Isabidin. Musa did it his way, Jesus did it his way. So she said, you know, to each his own. And she said a person should do what they want to do. She likes natural hair, and it's much easier. So I like that. And then we have Elorse up here. She says, once she decided to get locks, she was very proud to have her own hair, although she had worn braids for quite some time, and she didn't care what other people thought. And she said, it's not about us making a statement necessarily. And I love this quote. I'm going to take this quote from Elorse, and she says, it's just us accepting ourselves as opposed to them accepting us. And that's what it is. When you accept yourself. So see, now that I look at it that way, when I go back to how I might have felt. Now, I know if someone had come at me, I would have fought tooth and nail, because I've always had a sense of cultural pride, and not to be mistaken my kindness for weakness. I was always, very Afrocentric. For crying out loud, y'all. My father was a part of the revolutionary action movement that gave rise to the Black Power movement. So I grew up with that narrative in my home over and over and over again. But I feel like we are impacted differently within society. And then, you know, there's that controversy between some people who feel like when you give your children a sense of cultural pride and you make them feel different and you single them out in an attempt to give them a sense of cultural pride and to expose them to the realism of being in a society where your people have been oppressed, then you actually do them a disservice. Some people feel that way. So you have a lot of parents today who've decided to raise their children as if they're living in a colorblind society. So comment on that too if you have a particular view, because that's something to definitely think about. But I like this because when we accept ourselves, then it never matters what anyone else thinks. When I accepted myself, when I decided to take my scarf off and I decided to dispense with dogma and ritualism and everything that defined my relationship with the Creator, that was difficult because at that time I was running my own private school and 90% of my clients were people of the Islamic faith. And I had to step into the notion of, if you're coming here for education, then that is what I'm accountable for. But if you're here for any other reason, then maybe this is not the place for you if you're concerned with my ed or out of it. But you get to a point where you realize at some point in your life as you evolve, how much do I care about what other people think? And that's a tricky thing because as a reflex, we can easily say, I don't really care what people think. But let it be around something maybe that has an economical consequence or a belonging and identity consequence or something else that is a pain point. You might find it's a little different. Or if you examine your life very closely and you examine the areas of your life where maybe, let's say, for example, you have felt stuck, you have felt unfree, you felt like your autonomy you were stripped of your autonomy, and you ask yourself, why couldn't I make that change? Why couldn't I do this? Why wasn't I able to do that? Why couldn't I break through those barriers? Why couldn't I rank up or level up in a particular way? You may find yourself coming to the conclusion of, I was too concerned about what my parents would think. I was too concerned about what the people at my church would think. I was too concerned about what my sorority members would think. You'd be surprised at the ways in which we allow ourselves to be imprisoned by what other people think, instead of recognizing that you come here for a soul evolutionary experience, and that experience is a unique and individual thing, and no one can do that for you. And that oftentimes we stay in marriages for the wrong reasons. We take our children to certain extracurricular activities for the wrong reasons. We accept less than what we're worth in the job, in the workplace, in a relationship with a lover, or something else that we're doing that is really stripping us of our freedom, or that we're allowing ourselves to be led down the path to, not because it's something that we really want to do, but because we care too much about what other people think. So I love this quote, because when you accept yourself, then you're not concerned about what anybody else thinks. If you're someone holding together a relationship because you're concerned about what your friends in the sorority group are going to think, and that's why you're staying, you haven't accepted yourself yet. If you find yourself deciding to not color your hair a certain way, or wear your hair in the style that you want to church on the weekend because you're concerned about what the pastor might say, then you have to ask yourself, do I really accept myself? If you are concerned about maybe even what your spouse thinks, and this can be controversial, and please chime in on this, sound off on this in the comments, because some people feel like it doesn't matter what my spouse thinks. This is about me. Other women have withheld their decision to get a natural hairstyle because they have been concerned about the fact that their spouse would not sanction that. So these are all things and ways in which we become imprisoned in our lives around things that we really have a lot more autonomy when it comes down to exercising our personal choice and our sense of power. But if we were asked off the top of our head, do you care what other people think? We might easily say, oh no, I don't care what other people think. It's easy to say that, but you have to really deeply examine, where in my life have I done things for the purpose of impressing someone else, or where in my life have I done things so as not to offend someone else or to cause someone's gaze to be directed at me. So I love that comment by Anise or Anis. And then we have Wanda, who says when she told the people that she knew about it, the first thing they thought was that she was going to look like Whoopi. And again, I ask you, the listener, what does Whoopi look like? And is there something wrong with the way Whoopi looks? But people, that was their frame of reference at that time. So she said she had a lot of mixed reactions But as her locks grew and filled in, those comments turned positive. And that's very interesting because that's usually how it happens. When people start to see the beauty and the abundance of what your hair is capable of doing, and they recognize, wow, they see themselves in you, that's what my hair is capable of doing, then they begin to embrace. So a lot of times you're like a soldier, you're like a pioneer, you're almost like a pilgrim who steps out and leads the pack and is on the front lines, and your energy and the statement of your hair actually empowers other people. It's like that poem by Marianne Williamson where we say it's not our light, it's not our darkness, or it's not our, I think it's not our deepest fear is that not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. But there's nothing that is enlightened about shrinking back, and it's important for you to shine your light because you give other people the gumption and the wherewithal to be able to share their light. I'm going to share one more, and this is Vicky. And Vicky says when she told the people in her workplace that she was going to get locks, none of them were enthusiastic. They said to her, "Oh, wow, okay, you look fine the way you are, you know." When she got them, they were very curious and they wanted to touch it. Most of them were very excited about it and amazed. I guess they were very, wow, ooh, ah, bright, shiny object, you know. And each time she gets a new hairstyle, they think, each time that she gets her hair redone, I think she said, each time she gets a new hairstyle, they think that she's gotten them redone again. So that's very interesting. So even the people who were initially skeptical are coming around. And as more of us step in our power and shine, we give everybody else permission to do the same. One day there'll be a world where maybe 50 to 70% of us will be walking around with some sort of expression of our naturalness. And let's hope that we don't wait until other cultural groups are wearing what have been traditionally our hairstyles before we embrace them ourselves. Although, you know, wigs did originate in Africa. At least that's what I was told, as did many of these other things today that we think originated in other places. So when I talk about accepting an aspect of ourselves, that can be an aspect of ourselves also, but I'm talking about more about the kink in our hair. So this poem I'm going to read that is shared called Snarls by Jane Milligan. It keeps my hair short, natural. Don't feel like jerking comb through snarls of history, knots of pain. I keeps it manicured like a neat, and she says I keeps it manicured like a neat little bush. Weekly trims round edges, daily dabs of oil to soothe the roots. Other day gave myself a summer trim. Hair felt cool, looked neat, combed quick. Next day, co-worker White seemed painfully perplexed about the status of my hair. Was vital for her to know, so she asked. Oh, I answered, cut it myself, and furthermore, I implied I preferred it that way. Though I put her mind to rest, but something still hung in the air. Her eyes bounced every which way, my head, my chin, the walls, my head again. The awkward pause she finally shoved aside with limp remark, looks nice. Failed that lie detector test. I know, I've seen the same Clairol commercial she has, and then some. So that was the end of chapter 3, and we'll be going into the conspiracy of silence and see what Miss Cornwell wants to share with us in that particular chapter of that hair thing. Sending out all this love to you guys. If you have not purchased my book on Amazon.com, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, that's where you can get it. And for the thousands of you who have purchased that book, I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to you, and I'm loving on you and sending you such appreciation for the way that you support my work, whether it's through that book, whether it's through the I Am Melanin Magic brand, or the channel, and coming here, showing up, giving your comments, sharing your thoughts, sharing the videos, giving the videos likes, and sharing, subscribing. I really appreciate it. My heart goes out to all of you all. Again, I appreciate you and thank you so much. And I will see you on Sunday. Sunday, I will record, I will edit and have posted, if not Saturday night, the live Zoom for the self-reties, okay? And we plan to be doing that more often. If you like that and want to participate in one in the future, or you think that's a good idea, give it a thumbs up. If you have a particular topic that you want to discuss or talk about in a potential Zoom, let me know that as well in the comments. Bye, guys. gals, OGs. Hey ladies, do you love the way your skin looks and feels? I know I do, because I am using the I Am Melanin Magic Anti-Aging Serum, and at 50, I love the way my skin looks and feels. This blend is bomb. It renews, revitalizes, rejuvenates, soothes, conditions, moisturizes, tones, brightens, and fades, all in one step. So if you're ready to get your glow on, go get you some I Am Melanin Magic Anti-Aging Serum.
If you struggle with acne during your youth or even as an adult, it's time to give I Am Melanin Magic Acne Serum a try. Unlike other harsh products that dry out your skin, our oils balance and purify, helping to heal inflammation. All natural and formulated to meet the requirements of melanated skin. You'll see results in no time. Don't delay. Order yours today.
Do you have dark spots from skin irritation? How about unsightly marks from acne that's lasted way too long? Fade Magic can help you find your way back to radiance over time. Don't delay, order yours today.
If you are not using Melanin Magic hair oil, then what are you using?
Hi, I'm the creator of the I Am Melanin Magic Skin and Hair Care brand. The I Am Melanin Magic Hair Oil is our premier product. It is the leading high-end supplement for your mane.
It reduces breakage and promotes growth and can be used on all hair types and looks, from straightened hair and microlocks to wigs and protective styles.
It's antifungal, antibacterial, and it's anti-funk, so you know you're protected.
It softens and conditions your hair, and it's anti-frizz too.
Hey guys, so I started using this oil called I Am Melanin Magic since February of this year, and check out the new growth. Like, it's insane. Not only did it help with my new growth, but it smells amazing too.
See the dramatic improvements Tunisia has made after not having hair around her edges for 3 years. Tanya's hair had been like this for almost 20 years, and while getting injections. Her doctor said it was scarred and would never grow back. After 4 weeks of using I Am Melanin Magic, this is what she looked like. I Am Melanin Magic did this to Danette's hair after a short time. This is really all your hair needs. It's rich with antioxidants, loaded with growth-promoting ingredients. Look at the growth of my hair. It's amazing. The product speaks for itself. Order yours today and don't delay. Don't delay, purchase yours today.
I Am Melanin Magic, and so are you.